Hey guys, got a hot tip that Sarah Boone had uploaded another letter, so let's take a look at it. Let me get it a little larger here. I did scan it while I was setting this up, and I can see that she has changed her tactics, responded to criticism. She's improvising and adapting and overcoming. She's certainly tenacious. And at this time, it's not just her truth that you don't know what her truth is. This time, she's bringing receipts. So let's take a look here. Fresh off the internet. To the judge. Now, this time, it doesn't appear to be addressed to the entire world, but I will say she's certainly more focused here. Please see included the letter I received from my investigator communicating with me to provide an update on why we have been unable to meet since our last uneventful meeting with my attorney on May 18th. So here comes this letter in August. My investigator also has not been able to make contact with the attorney in attempts to move forward and produce very much needed and overdue progress in my case. So she is saying that that her own investigator cannot reach her attorney, and she's always saying she can't reach him. So as the client, she cannot communicate with the attorney via phone due to him still not activating one of two numbers he's given that do not work. He keeps giving me different reasons why each time I ask to keep trying. It's been ongoing for 13 months and counting. By not activating, he's actively hindering progress, compiling even greater amounts of carryover. And in the meantime, information for review. Last time to date was 77 days, prior to that 98 days, and 147 days prior to that date. So you got to throw some numbers in there, and that's okay. With the aforementioned being said, Judge, would you please be gracious enough to communicate with the attorney to supply the requested simple information my investigator needs, considering the number of days and weeks in between our meetings with him, and we can be working in the meantime until he's able to visit with me, his client, of over a year now. Adding to the soon-to-be 4 years, I've been here already. Please see previous letter regarding all 6 of my attorneys. So she's saying she can't get in communication with a lawyer no matter what she does. Phones, letters, email, voicemails, even voicemails attempted by an outside source. What else can she do, Your Honor? It seems her only hope is for a court date, and that she's included on where her attorney's attendance is mandatory, and I can vie for his attention during the minute beforehand in the courtroom. I'm sure all the allowed live cameras could provide footage of me doing so every time. I don't want to waste any more time and catch up in the courtroom. It's unfair and ridiculous. When can we have a real meeting? Now, granted, a lot of things she writes, I think, sound ridiculous. This isn't the most ridiculous thing that she has written. Please enable progress, Judge, not hinder. The justice system means we have to work together. I've got the whole world incorrectly against me already. I don't believe that. As stated by my investigator, we're at a loss without communication in any form with the attorney. That might be an issue. Thanks for your invaluable time. I'm grateful for your ethical awareness, fairness, understanding, and perspective. So gone are the allegations that he's sharing in the lucrative YouTube revenue about this case. Activate the inactivity. She could start helping Nike design shirts, it looks like. Please, again, thank you. Actively seeking success in anything, Sarah Boone. So here we go. Here's her receipt, which she doesn't normally bring that. She normally has a lot of computations and things and talks about her truth, which you just don't know what it is, other than she's put upon by the whole planet. But check this out. Here's her expert. I mentioned this before in something that I'd seen this come up. Prison break investigations. Is that really the right name for people who are facing trial for serious crimes? It could be. I'm not a marketing guru. I don't know. It just seems to me that if you were the prosecutor, you could make something out of that name in terms of slagging the person who's from that firm when they show up. I mean, that doesn't scream innocence, does it? Prison break investigations. Yeah, okay. All right. Let's see what this investigator says, though. Sarah. Okay. As the quality continues in this case, you can see her name at the top is spelled S-A-R-A. And then when it gets down to her first name basis, the H returns. Is that a hidden code, a secret message between them, or just typographical stuff? Sarah, I've received your letter. I've made multiple attempts to contact your attorney since our last meeting, but unfortunately I've been unsuccessful. I'm not sure what's causing the issue. On May 22nd, I sent him an email requesting him to contact the jail so that I can have access to visit you and proceed with the mitigation process in person. Additionally, I sent 2 text messages to his phone on June 1st and again on June 6th, but I've got no response. Without a letter from the attorney sent to the jail, I'm unable to visit you in person at jail. I'm at a loss until I can reestablish contact with the attorney. If you wish, you can write to me and I will send a letter as soon as I'm able to get in touch with him again. So that's the issue, right? This guy is supporting her, saying, look, I can't get in to see you to talk about the mitigation points of your case unless your attorney says that I'm allowed to do it. And why can't that happen? I don't know. I don't like to blast off on people without knowing all the facts, but what's going on here? She's repeatedly complained about the ability to contact her attorney, and she's got a free attorney from the state. It's not like this guy only has one case, and so it's not a situation where he can be working on her case all the time. But this does seem to compound the issue here and support her contention that she's not able to talk with this guy on a regular enough basis. I mean, how hard is it to write this letter to let this guy in, unless there are issues about it that I don't know about? He had tried to withdraw from the case before, and she had opposed that or whatever, I guess, at that time, because it ended up being withdrawn. Maybe the judge leaned on him. I didn't see that proceeding. Does she need a seventh attorney here? Because while I think it's incredibly obvious that she's guilty of a certain level of crime, that's how it appears to me, she's also entitled to a defense and to have that put in court and have the evidence tested. And is she getting a comprehensive defense if this is the situation that's going on? We all know that she's trying to get the second expert appointed for her mitigation in terms of self-defense, right? It's not mitigation. She's looking for somebody to testify that she had a reasonable fear of her partner. And so it was self-defense what she did. That hasn't happened yet. Now, her attorney did schedule that for a hearing. I did see that on the docket, so I know he's done that. I don't know why he hasn't done this. The remedy here, of course, is perhaps she's going to change counsel again at some point, or they'll finally get this thing to trial. This isn't the prosecutor's fault that she's having these problems with this attorney. So let's see some comments here. She's an idiot, but this attorney is ridiculous. If I were in her shoes, I would be beside myself. And she does appear to be that way. Kind of hard for me to disagree with you at this point. Again, I don't want to slag the guy too hard because I don't know all the circumstances, and she's able to kind of say what she wants. He's not under, he can't just say whatever he wants about his attorney-client relationship with her. So I don't know that I would take her side entirely. But having said that, this time she actually brings a letter from an outside party saying, look, I'm having trouble getting in touch with him too. So here's somebody making a comment. The present attorney has a history of minimal contact with clients. Yeah, I saw what you're talking about. So I hear that. And, I'm going to say on behalf of the public defender's office, and if he's an appointed attorney through that, which I think he is, sometimes the caseloads are quite large, but still there's, a level that you've got to do. And she's been in jail for a long time. So let's see. Yeah, this Prison Break Investigators, I'd found them before. I think I mentioned them in a video about her a long time ago. And I can't remember if I knew they were involved in her case then or just knew that they were a mitigation firm that was out there to find, things that can help the defense, which is fine. So I just remember the name, which I will give them that. How can you forget that name? She's been through lawyers because they won't proceed the way she wants. I think that's probably true in some of the cases. And in some of the other ones, there were conflicts of interest. So it's been kind of a mix. But once you've gone through 6 lawyers, there's an issue going on there, probably. Let's see here. Anything else on this letter? Because this one was very short and to the point. Like I say, it's a little different than what she normally does, where she rattles on a lot. And here she's fairly focused, saying, look, what am I supposed to do here? And I don't know what she's supposed to do here. She's limited in what she can do because she's in pretrial detention. And of course, remember at this point, she's presumed innocent by the system, yet she is sitting in jail for a long time because of the nature of the crime. So it's hard to build a defense if your attorney's only working so hard on it or not at the pace that you want. Why is she even taking us to trial? I realize it's her right, but she looks ridiculous. He's in a suitcase and she's talking and laughing about it. Yeah, I hear that. Now, I'm not going to buy any theory that she's got out there about self-defense, letting her off the hook entirely, that she was a battered spouse. That's not doing it for me. Having said that, you'd think maybe there would have been some negotiation between the state and the defense at some point about how to resolve this. Because obviously, if life in prison is what she's facing, then why not fight it? Why wouldn't you not? Why would you fight? You fight it if you're her, because she certainly doesn't think. I don't think she thinks that what she did was even wrong, but to the degree that it was wrong, it's not deserving a life sentence in her mind, and she's already spent 4 years in jail. Now, eventually, because you get credit for time served, it eventually can become more attractive to have a plea deal of, if this thing were to keep rattling on. Now, remember, they set the trial for October, but the defense attorney then and the judge both said, yeah, but we're not really doing it then. So this thing is going into next year anyway. So hypothetically, if this guy wanted to bail again, the attorney, if he sees this and he's like, look, I just can't work with her because of the demand she has or whatever, possibly she could get lucky number 7 lawyer appointed before her case actually goes to trial. If someone's out on bail and they excessively show up to their attorney's office, is it actionable? I don't think it's actionable. I mean, I wish it was actionable to a few, a handful of clients that I've ever had. But no, I mean, if he doesn't like it, then he needs to move to get out of the case. Now, if she were doing something illegal, that would be different. But, every once in a while you run into a client who has excessive demands. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the case here, although some of hers may be, but this doesn't appear to be. Then you don't have a meeting of the minds there, right? But the problem is, once you appear in court on behalf of a client, you cannot just fire that client. You have to have the court release you from your obligation. That's why you see these motions to withdraw from counsel, like in this case that this guy did have, but that got resolved. And like in the Darrell Brooks case, when it's apparent he wants his lawyer gone, that guy still has to move to withdraw and have the judge approve it because he's appeared in court. Regardless of her heinous act, she deserves to be brought to trial, and victim deserves justice. And that's true. Now, of course, if she were to plead guilty to something that everybody could agree with, that would short circuit it. And that is how most cases resolve. But she's pretty adamant in her position, and the state hasn't given way on its. And there is substantial evidence in this case. So right now it's still headed to trial. She wouldn't be worried about being in jail. She had stuck her boyfriend in a suitcase. Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, she's paying a price, and she needs to pay a price for what she did. I mean, I can understand that she didn't intentionally kill him, but I can also understand the state's charge that her behavior was reckless indifference to human life, because she recorded the guy while he was begging to be let out, and she wouldn't let him out. And she went upstairs and went to sleep. And that's also going to contradict her theory that she was acting in self-defense, because that's not really a self-defense type action, is it? So much for speedy trial. Yeah, that's bad. Now, of course, remember, her current delays are at her own request. Otherwise, she'd already have tried her case, because she wants an expert to testify that she was a battered spouse. That's why she's not at trial right now. That is why she's not at trial. Her side has been asking for these delays. And there was indication in the record, we went over in the last video about this, that she's already had an expert examine this. So they want another expert who's willing to come in at whatever it was, $400 an hour, and testify about battered spouse. So this isn't the prosecution doing this. This is her side doing this. So it could be 5 or 6 years before it sees a courtroom. And I can tell you that, not because of this case, because I don't have any involvement with it, but talking about it, but another case that I did have some involvement with, that it was delayed a lot. And a lot of it was, due to the virus and all that, and the procedures that they put in place slowed down courtrooms really across the country. I mean, that's part of what you say, for example, Darrell Brooks benefited from, was the court slowing down so much they just started letting people out. Some of them were people that should not have been let out, and that was the case around the country. And I certainly know of that happening. I mean, here in North Carolina, there were lawsuits filed just to let prisoners out because it was so dangerous in the jail, like it was safe on the streets. I mean, you weren't supposed to walk into grocery stores next to people and stuff like that. So, everybody freaked out, whether it was all justified, some of it or none of it or whatever. Everybody has their own opinions on that, but it is a fact that the criminal justice system almost came to a stop there at one point. So cases were backlogged a lot, and hers still is. Now, while I think, she did it, I don't think it's good to have cases take this long to go to trial. And I think she has some reasonable points there, and they're often obscured by the rantings that she does and the absolute lack of introspection that she's capable of, because she's never done anything wrong. So it makes it hard to see her fair points, which are, just give me an active representation and let's get this thing to trial. Again, having said that, that was going to happen, except for her wanting this new expert that they have located, who apparently perhaps would testify that she was a battered spouse. So that's coming if her attorney is successful in convincing the judge to fund that. Or Sarah could set up a GoFundMe with all the fans that she talks about, hire all the investigators and attorneys that she wants, right? So, you don't always get a first class everything just because you want it when you're getting government services in any way. So any more questions about this letter? And this is a quick pop-up, and I don't know if Tricia made it onto the stream. Yes, she did. I appreciate the tip for this letter, because I was busy doing some other things and didn't see it come up. Wasn't really expecting it, since they have her motion set up for hearing later, I think next month, on the expert and whether the court will order funding for that or not. Yeah. Oh, come on, man. She's got all these fans that are always telling her stuff. So all she needs is a GoFundMe, and she can get high-powered lawyer to represent her in a speedy way. And lots of experts fly in and talk about that if you're in danger, the natural thing you would do is cajole someone to get into a suitcase. And then once you lock them in there, you video yourself mocking them and go to sleep in another room because you're so scared. So that sounds so reasonable. All she needs is the money to put that together. And it's such a horror that she doesn't have that. Making fun of her all aside, she's not the only one with a significant delay in the case. And that has gone to the benefit of a lot of real criminals and gone to the detriment of a lot of people who are innocent in society, who get attacked by people who aren't tried in a timely fashion. And then for people like her in pretrial detention, if there's innocent ones in there, that's a real injustice if they're sitting there waiting for their trial and they never get it. It's also, even for guilty people, it's just not how the system should work. It really shouldn't take that long. You stick somebody in prison who's presumed innocent for years. We all saw the video. We know how she is. But what if there wasn't evidence of that and all of that? What if she were just sitting in jail like this and unable to get out and unable to get her case to court? That wouldn't be good, would it? And yet that is the case. So some places across the country too. So, well, that's the letter. It's pretty short. Appreciate everybody dropping in on such short notice. And I think that's pretty much it for this one. Hopefully see you guys on Weekly Docket tomorrow. Got a really cool story I'm going to put on that one. The dude who's on the left hand of the thumbnail. That's a heartwarming story that you're going to love to hear. And then I'm planning on throwing up a stream for Monday for Darrell Brooks' hearing if that doesn't get canceled. Well, that's it, everybody, and I appreciate it. And thanks. And bye.